Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, The Grim Reader. I'm Kathy Grimm and I'm here to give you my weekly reading update, my weekly reading etc. update. So there'll be a tiny bit of etc. stuff, just what's going on with me this week like I like to do. And then my reading, which is not too much this week. So yeah, I'm in the very busy time of the semester, and so which leaves me little time for anything really. And I was happy that I was able to get out for a walk on Sunday because the weather has been absolutely gorgeous where we are. So I was glad that I forced myself to get out and enjoy the weather. And I actually walked to the free little library, which is, it didn't have anything. It had some books by a science fiction writer called A.E. Van Vogt that I wasn't interested in, and some other stuff. It had actually one Barbara Pym that I already owned, so I just left the ones that I had carried with me to put in there. So that was a bit of a fail, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it was, I just went for the walk, but you know, a free little library in walking distance is of course, for someone like me, a reason to go there. And then in health news, I decided, I was thinking about how open I want to be about this, but I'm pretty much an open book here. Anyway, I have started a new medication that is being prescribed for my, basically it is an antidepressant, but it's also one that's connected to, that is sometimes prescribed for fibromyalgia. And I'm sort of been reading up on it, and some people hate it and hate it and hate it and hate it and have very bad, and it does seem to be one that you have to be very careful about how you stop taking it, or that you have to be careful that you take it the same time every day. But what's interesting is that I can already tell that I am in less pain, and even my mood has somewhat stabilized. It's not that I don't still get upset about things, but I don't have this, at least not yet. I mean, I might come back, I don't know. It's just, I can really tell a difference. And a good one, not a bad one. So yay. And I was a little bit, I even Googled the notion is, can you really, because even they always say with these kinds of medications, it takes weeks before you'll notice anything. And the doctor said it'll take weeks. And I've only been on it for less than a week now. Yeah, only a couple days. And so I Googled, can you sometimes tell a difference straight away? And some people say they can. And so maybe it's placebo, but no, I think it's already doing something. And there have been some mild negative things too, but more positive than negative. So I'll take that as a win. And of course, I'm being careful about what people are saying about it. And I do think that the whole horror stories about how it is when you get off of it or try and get off of it are a little bit alarming, but I'm not that worried. So that's interesting. So yeah, I feel pretty good. I feel like I have, and it's what's interesting about this whole thing, sorry to be so self-indulgent here, but that's what you're used to, is that it makes me realize how not okay I must have been the whole time until now. If this thing is causing me to feel more normal and better, like just more normal, and not like constantly being afraid of being kind of pushed beyond my limits. Like I'm not afraid, I'm just not as anxious. It's interesting, and that makes me a little sad. It's like, wow, I really was not completely okay. I'm not saying that I'm completely okay now, but the before and after thing is interesting and a little bit surprising. But not that I don't think it comes through my videos that much. I mean, I'm pretty much, I say when I'm not doing that well, so, but yeah. So yeah, I think that's all I have in terms of the etc. Yeah, normal life stuff, just busy with work, looking forward to the spring, and my husband's getting all into the gardening stuff. He's doing so much with the garden, with the getting things ready for what he wants to do. It's kind of exciting. And my mantra is, please make it look pretty, and I want a nice place to sit out there. He could do whatever he wants, but I just want a nice place to sit. But anyway, so that's that. Now my reading, so the one thing I'll talk about, and I'll put the picture here, is the book that was sent, the link was sent to me by the author, Reuven Fenton, called Goyhood. Goyhood is a sort of on the road with two brothers, twin brothers, who think they're Jewish, but they're not really Jewish, but they are Jewish. So, and one of them's a Jewish scholar who's married, but the marriage isn't very happy, I guess. And it really is kind of like a road movie book. And so here are my thoughts about that book. So I think it wasn't meant for me. It's not my kind of book, in the sense that it's supposed to be an entertaining, quick, fun, somewhat thoughtful, somewhat sort of pull out your heartstrings read about these two brothers and the funny sort of hijinks that they encounter or go through on the road, and the people they meet on the road. And for that level of what it is, like, it's not Thomas Mann, it's not literary at all, it was actually pretty good. And I read the whole thing in a short amount of time for me, a slow reader, and it held my interest. I never felt like I wanted to stop reading it. I did get somewhat like less enthusiastic about it as it went on, as I sort of figured out what kind of book it was, but that's mainly because I sort of was realizing it's not for an older woman who definitely likes a female perspective on things and likes her works more literary. It sort of has this kind of slightly younger masculine point of view, I would say. Not that it's bad for that reason, but it's just, I just didn't feel I'm the right person to be reading this. I have a feeling a lot of people would like it. It was quite okay in terms of the writing. And also, a lot of times I kept thinking, this could be a good movie. This would be a funny, engaging, because it had sort of a lot of little funny action scenes or almost slapsticky things that happen, and I'm also not a big fan of slapstick. A little bit of that, especially not in my fiction. But there were quite a few scenes that were sort of physically sort of involving altercations and stuff like that, which were, and a lot of it seemed like it could be funny in a filmic way. It had a visual component to it that perhaps added to the fact that it was a quick read, but it also made me keep thinking, I'm reading a script here, I'm not really reading a novel almost. So that's another interesting aspect of it. And I think it's just another moment of, I don't read a lot of that kind of stuff. I'm not drawn to it. That's why I was sort of afraid I would hate it even more, and I didn't. I think it's actually quite good, and I actually feel that quite a few of you out there, or not necessarily my audience, but I think it might do well. I think it might. I wouldn't be surprised if he's got a winner on his hands here, because it's sort of funny and entertaining and quite interesting with the Jewish aspect of it. The one brother being a scholar of the Torah. So it's not for me, but it was fine. And so it's sort of like, I don't think I was supposed to be the one reviewing it. I feel kind of bad that I'm the one reviewing it, but he sent it to me and I'm talking about it. See what you think. It has a cute cover with the goy hood, and it has a little yarmulke on the G. It's kind of cute. So that's that. And then, so my only sort of conundrum that happened during the week, let me tell you about my conundrum. So I'm still working with the same books. I'm making my way through Barnaby Rudge, and I'll give you more of an assessment next time. Now we're into the actual riots that are happening, and it's going quite well. I don't think I'm getting as much out of it as if I were just reading it. But that's okay. That's fine. I'm thinking of something I do need to say at the end here, but another etc. thing, but we'll get to that in a minute. And so what happened was, I had agreed earlier on last year, I think, to participate in an online Blue Sky /Twitter hashtag Josef Roth 2424 to read the Radetzky March by Joseph Roth, the famous Austrian writer who had a really interesting life, really interesting. And he himself was a bit of a hard person to be with. Apparently he was pathologically jealous of the women in his life. Anyway, that's just one thing. I'll tell you more when I get into it more. But this is actually, I started reading it and it's really, really good. But I feel like I owe it to Paul Pierre Goriot to finish this first. And so for a while I was under the illusion that I could actually read them both at the same time while doing all the work I need to get done. And that's not realistic, just because of me being slow and me needing the time to really, these are not fast books for me. I think this one, they're not terribly hard or anything, but I do need to they take some time for me to get into a little bit again. Even the Goriot and the Roth as well, which I'll be reading in German, which I want to be reading it in German. So I made the decision today, and I told the lady who's organizing the read-along, I'm going to read this first. I want to finish this however long it takes. It shouldn't take me that long. I mean, maybe a week from today I should be done with it. So by next week I should be done with this, hopefully. I will pace myself. And then after that, this will be my next read. And, you know, if I have time for something else, that's great. And then in the meantime, such a thing is I realized I need to thank you all for the questions. I'm kind of glad I haven't been overwhelmed with questions. That's perfectly fine. And the ones that I have about, I'm going to sort of make a list of them all. And a couple of people asked a lot of questions, which I think is great. Thank you so much for all the great questions. And it'll be definitely enough for at least one video of answers to your questions. Really interesting ones about my reading and things I haven't thought about, like German versus Austrian literature. I mean, I have not overtly thought about at least, so I'll be glad to talk about them at some point. I don't know when I'll get to doing that video, so we'll see. And yeah, I think that's all I have for this week. So it's going to be a short one. I hope everyone's doing well, and I will report back next week, Sunday or Tuesday. And whenever I have time, I'll try and get the answers done for the Q&A. Hope everyone's doing well. Have you read any Roth? Are you interested in his writings? He's an interesting fellow. I didn't know that much about him, but the writing's very strong. It's kind of reminding me a little bit of Thomas Mann, who's probably my favorite author. I'll report back next week. Hope everyone's doing well. Bye.